How can art be used to destigmatize non-monogamous relationships? I'm here with Erica Capon from theopenphotoproject.com, and I'm Kathy Martulli from theintimacydojo.com. And Erica, you're talking at Woodhull this year, Woodhull Sexual Freedom Summit, on the Open Photo Project, photography and art audio to share lives of the consensually non-monogamous people. And I love that your project is so amazing, and I love that you're using art to help people understand the different ways people express these relationships. What made you start? Like, do you want to talk about the destigmatization and I'd love to hear more.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah. So I started this project as I started to come out about being non-monogamous myself, and realizing that people have a lot of misconceptions and preconceived ideas, and also stigma around what people who identify as non-monogamous and live non-monogamous relationships, who they are and what that means.
Yeah.
And so I'm a photographer, and I also love talking to people about relationships. It's like fun for me, and photographing people being with others who they're close with and capturing those sort of natural moments. So I combined sort of all of those loves together for me. So by photographing people who are non-monogamous by themselves or with their close community, partners, friends, as well as interviewing them and having recorded conversations about their relationships and how that works for them and how they handle the challenges and the benefits of that, I've been able to combine those into a multimedia project that shares all the kinds of non-monogamous stories. And through people's own words and through photos of their own lives, it sort of turned into this amazing celebration of people's non-monogamous lives, and plus hoping that it's in front of folks who don't get to see that very much and who might have judgments about it. They might see that and might sort of question their preconceived ideas, and it might expand the way that they see folks, in a more human way, regardless of their relationships.
I really love that you're doing that. I know that when I first heard about poly or open relationships, I really thought it was a lot about cheating, and I felt like it was very nefarious. I felt like if you kind of went that way, you were going to be corrupted somehow. I had a lot of misconceptions, and when I started hanging out with people, it was a lot of challenge for me to there's a lot of different ways people can live this, and as long as it's consensual, it's actually very high integrity and a very beautiful connection. And then of course I figured out that I'm a non-monogamous person as well, so sometimes I think we're most afraid of what we are.
Yeah, for sure, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I've really learned a lot about this myself as I've been talking to people about it. In my mind now, which I don't think I had this concept when I started the project, but in my mind, consensual non-monogamy, which is what I focus on, the consensual being a big part of it, consensual non-monogamy being the umbrella for all different types of sub-relationships.
Yeah.
So we call, whether, and everyone uses lots of different words, and that's a whole other story of what terms feel good for different people.
Yeah.
But whether it's polyamorous or swinging or open relationships or relationship anarchy or solo poly, and as we sort of communicate about this, the terminology keeps getting more and more subtle and precise.
Yeah, no, and I love that people are finding freedom and expression in that, because for so long we've been kind of trapped in one man, one woman, must be married for life, even if you hate. One of my best friends calls it cage fighting, getting married, and I like cage fighting, because there's not really, for a lot of people, there's not an easy out. And it's like you just lock yourselves in and beat each other up until one of you wins. And I love the idea of having more openness and ability to get our needs met. So yeah, and your photography is so beautiful. I love how you're able to see people's souls, really. Like, you bring out so much emotion in what you do.
For me, it's about kind of choosing the right photo, because I try to give somewhat minimal suggestions and just sort of say, hey, can I come and hang out with you while you make dinner with your love, and sort of try to just document what's happening and then pick whichever one, afterwards. But so it's really the subjects, I think, that help bring that authenticity to the project.
Oh, that's beautiful. So how are you presenting this? I know you've done this numerous times and been out in the world, showing it to, I think you have, I've heard about it a lot.
Not too many actually.
Oh, really?
It's really it's there's going to be one before that, but I've just starting to show.
I guess because I've heard about it and I've been excited about your website for a while.
Got it. Yes.
Yeah. So, how are you going to be sharing this at Woodhull?
Yeah. So I'm very excited because I'm working on a multimedia presentation, and that's sort of my grand dream of how to present this to the world at large, outside of also the sexuality activism circles. So this is going to be the first time I'll present this edit of a 45-minute-ish, I'm still, editing it down, slideshow of photos, along with audio being played of of the folks' words, all the photos are playing. So people who come to the workshop, it'll be kind of centered around a screening. And I'm figuring out the text things as I communicate with Woodhull, but I'm hoping to have 3 projections. I may bring my own projector so I can have 3 screens going at the same time, and then having kind of this immersive feeling like you're inside of the story as you're watching. There's a photo here and someone's over here, and then while you're also hearing them talk about anything from raising kids with multiple partners to how they struggle with jealousy to what it's like in their neighborhood, coming out for their neighbors, or whatever it is that we've spoken about. So that will be presented, and then prior to that, part of this for me is to share and celebrate the work I've been doing, but also I really want to open the conversation for feedback and to hear, if anyone comes, if they have concerns about stigma that they've experienced as non-monogamous, or things that they think are really important to be represented in showing non-monogamous lives, and having this sort of a group discussion about, what is important to the participants in terms of their own non-monogamy or their perceptions, and then that will really help me, I hope, to have on my radar some things maybe that I don't yet, and I can make sure I bring that in more to the project as I keep shooting and interviewing and as it keeps evolving, so that I can really present a full, well-rounded project to people who are going to be seeing these kind of relationships for the first time.
I love it. And I got to see a sneak peek of one of your early versions, and it was so that the immersive and the having the different voices and the pictures. It was really powerful. It just felt I was really wowed by what you'd done.
That was so valuable too, because there was so much wonderful feedback from that, and that was actually the first very rough run of this three projection installation. So I'm taking a lot of the feedback I got from that and incorporating that into the presentation at Woodhull.
Yeah, well, it was amazing. I can't wait to see the edited version.
Thank you. And then I'm also hoping that that I'll have some resources of other art that I really love as activism, and we can have a little bit of conversation about other artists who've made art projects as activism, as ways of reducing stigma or causing social change, and outside of topics of non-monogamy, and maybe have discussions or have time to look at some of those artists as well.
Well, I think you did such a great job. You really get people to their vulnerable state. You make them feel safe, and then let the depth of sharing. Because I think we all have stigma about things we haven't seen. We have fears and beliefs that aren't accurate necessarily. And to see people that were they were just showing their soft underbelly and showing their love and their struggles and their concerns and their delights. And I felt very warm and it just was a really easy way to have my brain stretched in really fun ways. So.
Good, because the brain stretching could be painful, I suppose.
It often is. So yeah, and it was very entertaining too. The time passed so quickly. So I can't wait to see this. You also have another website where you show, so people can go to the openphotoproject.com, and there's some amazing articles and audios and pictures. But you also have ericajunecapen.com, which is more your artistic. Can you tell us some more about that?
Yeah, so basically the openphotoproject.com is dedicated to the Open Photo Project, and it just has a lot more content. It has more excerpts from the interviews in text form. It has it presented as individual stories, so sort of this family here, this person here. You click on it and you see photos of that person along with their words. Now, EricaJuneCapin.com is sort of more my artist page, so it has some of my other projects from the past, but the way that the Open Photo Project is presented there is a more fine art edit, where it's not featuring on individual people's stories as sort of their own story, but it's a collection of, I think it's about 30 images that sort of creates a mood, and more of an overall mood of closeness and relationships. And this is sort of the smaller edit that's a more broad overview rather than getting specific and close into individual stories. And I'm experimenting with those different edits for different reasons. So that might be when I show more to an artist gallery type of person, whereas this is more, the openphotoproject.com has more celebration for the community. Or a lot of people have been telling me it's almost a resource if their friend says, oh, this person on OkCupid said they're polyamorous. What does that mean? I don't even know. And then they're like, oh, go check out my friends, the openphotoproject.com, and then you can see some examples of what polyamory is. So I've been seeing that get used almost as a community resource more.
Yeah.
Which I love. It was not even my original intention, but I'm so happy about it that it's also being shared within the non-monogamous community. And then the other one is a little more like fine art, tuned down. Doesn't have as much of the text on it or anything yet.
Right,
but
it's
that's
beautiful. I'm looking at the page right now, and it's lovely. Yeah, no, nice. I love your artistry is just really amazing. What is one thing? So if you had someone come to your to the project, like your presentation at Woodhull, what's one thing you would love for them to walk out with a realization or a change that they experience?
I would love for people who come to have ideas of how art can be used as social change. I know my favorite thing about Woodhull in general is that it has a strong activism component to it, and so I think a lot of people there will be activists in their own right, and having ideas of how art can be incorporated into that can help with so many different causes, whether they're focusing on, one of the many concerns and human rights issues that are addressed at Woodhull, there's a lot of different ways art can help approach. And I'm hoping, in addition to talking about non-monogamy in this particular way I'm approaching it, we can talk about other ways other art approach it, and maybe even have time to discuss a little bit amongst the group what kind of projects they want to use art to make a difference on.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Why did you choose Woodhull as one of your first places to reveal this?
Oh, well, Woodhull is the first sexuality conference I ever went to.
Yeah.
It has a soft spot in my heart because when I was speaking in the early days of the Open Photo Project and asking some advice on how can I kind of expand outside of my own community of friends to include more diversity of subjects and maybe different locations and all different types of people, and this person suggested that I go to Woodhull. So I went to my first Woodhull, I'm not sure, maybe this might be my fourth Woodhull coming up. So I went as a volunteer that first year to meet folks in the community and try to, meet other non-monogamous people in different ways that I wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to meet in my friend group.
Yeah.
And that sort of was a catalyst for so much else in this project and in my life, because I then started going to other conferences and really making some close friends in the community of sex educators and activists who have become not just friends, but also people who have helped me with this project and who are in this project,
yeah.
and present company included.
Yeah, no, I think we met at Woodhull your first year, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just been such a great space for me personally and professionally, so I'm really excited to go back as a presenter for the first time.
I love how warm it is there too. Like, I've been to some conferences where, not specifically sex ed, but like where it's very cliquey and like, oh, I don't know you, so I won't talk to you. And I'm shy, so me going, I was like, is it going to be fun? And everyone was so like, yeah, come join us. And what are you doing? And I really like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it's really, I really love the environment there so much. Yeah, and so many people.
And you've also donated headshots for the contest we're running to.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see who wins them so we can have a fun session.
Yeah, I see social media going out, so it's good that try to raise the volume for Woodhull and for the talks that are going on.
Awesome. When are the winners going to be announced?
So for the speakers contest, it's July 6th, and for the I think it's the 20th for the non-speaker contest.
Okay.
So yeah, we have try to overlap them a little bit. So yeah,
Cool.
so yeah, you do. You've done some beautiful headshots for me, so I'm excited to see what you do for other people too.
Yeah, it's always so much fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate you modeling because you make it very personal. I've read books on non-monogamy, and it's like, oh, you can have the Y and the W, and they kind of break down different types of relationships, but you can never get all the nuances in there, and you can never hear how people figured it out. And I love the stories. Like when you interview people, it's like, oh yeah, we were doing this and that totally didn't work, and I just think it models it so much more accurately than, oh, I'm apparently a Y person, I'm going to go look for a Y and the rest of my Y.
It's that easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You and you. That's not how it works.
Well, that makes me think of two things. One is what we were talking about before we started this interview, that it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's still great to move forward. Like this conversation, we might say where we didn't want to or something, but it's still good that we're having this conversation. We're learning and we're sharing. And the same with a lot of relationships, just that people have problems in all kinds of relationships and hard times and challenges. And then people, if they share it and share that vulnerable, hard stuff of like how it gets made, it's so valuable to a lot of other people.
Well, it takes so much pressure off too. I know that I was kind of brought up that you never shared, like you pretended to the outside world everything was okay, and you fought behind the scenes, and that just left a lot of shame and plasticity and fakeness, and there was no one ever able to say, hey, you might want to try this, because we were never admitting there was anything wrong.
Yeah, and 100% with you on that, and also it's definitely not my intention with the Open Photo Project to bring people over, like, you should be this way. It's more, I think it's not even one of my goals, but I know that it happens where people might be exposed to the idea of non-monogamy and see it function and have an idea of like, oh, well, I've been really struggling in monogamy and all these relationships have been having these problems for me, and maybe this is something that would be a good fit for me. Right. Not that it's a good fit for everyone, not that it's better or more evolved or anything like that, but it's just, I really like the idea that people can have a non-judged view of all the ways that they might choose to have their relationships, and then they might be able to choose one that feels really good for them, rather than just going with a default that everybody tells them they're supposed to do, whether it feels good or not.
I absolutely agree. I think there are people that are monogamous, and that's fine, but I would rather they chose it consciously. They looked at what the options are and go, oh no, this is the one that, I think that's a much more powerful and thoughtful approach than, no, my parents did this, my grandparents did this, the government and the church say I should do this, and defaulting into it. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving people the opportunity to explore and decide, they can peek into people's lives and get ideas, and it's a lot more gentle way than just diving in and seeing what works or doesn't work.
Well, thank you for letting me share some of the ideas in our conversation.
Oh, I'm delighted. I can't wait to see you at Woodhull, and I can't wait to see your project. Thank you so much for all you contribute.
Thank you, Kathy.